Mr. Erdogan is on a knife edge, and it's very exciting to watch, but also I'm sure in Turkey it's very nerve-wracking for his supporters. The Justice and Development Party. Has there been enough development now in 20 years? Has there been enough justice now in 20 years? Is it time for somebody else? Well, the opposition, which is made up of 6 different parties, thinks so. The success of Erdogan was on the back of changing a country which had slipped into a backwater, offering hope and release from poverty, famine, and hunger. That was the slogan. Poverty, famine, and hunger will be gone. He brought a reputation to office as innovative and dynamic, starting as mayor of Istanbul in 1994, and at the same time also trying to rekindle the Islamic spirit. Indeed, he talks about the minarets as bayonets and got into trouble for that. I remember his rise to power very well. I remember being in Istanbul in the last days of his time as mayor, when he was being elected as the leader of the country, as prime minister. I remember the enthusiasm, particularly in Istanbul, the flags everywhere. 20 years later, his reputation is up there with Kemal Mustafa Ataturk, the father of the nation. His rival has clearly bided his time, again, waiting 20 years in opposition. And Erdogan's approach is to offer public sector wage rises, which he did the other day, to present his adversary as a drunk, as pro-LGBT, as somebody without goals. The last charge may not be entirely right. The only goal that binds together the 6 opponent groups is to be rid of President Erdogan. President Erdogan is both the opposition and the slogan for the opposition. Erdogan at the moment is sitting on 40% inflation. He can't blame it on anybody else. He's barely matched Kılıçdaroğlu in the polls. Moreover, the BBC interpreted Muharrem İnce's dropout the other day as a positive move for the opposition. I think they're wrong. I think the chances are that those votes from Ince's party, very small party, will be picked up by President Erdogan's group. His heartland in Anatolia, conservative, orthodox, has certainly been shaken by the earthquake, but Mr. Erdogan has promised new homes. And although there is, the opposition is trying to paint him as responsible for so many of the homes, so many of the houses which collapsed during the earthquake, the reality is that that Erdogan had presided over very stern, very secure earthquake regulations, which weren't followed. The problem is that he put out he rolled out an acceptance that people had disobeyed the law, and simply to get them building again, to get those businesses working again, he granted an amnesty. Now that is the problem. Does that mean that he was turning a blind eye to housing regulations, which in the end proved that many houses fell down? Well, yeah, but those houses would have fallen down anyway, whether he had granted that amnesty or not. Those houses were badly built and were built in defiance of the regulations that Erdogan had set up in the first place. And his success so far, has been driven by his personal authority. And that has been questioned, particularly in the West and in his own country, by his response to the Gezi riots in 2013, by his response to the coup in 2016. But remember the huge number of people who came out onto the streets in support of him. The drive against the Kurdish parties and the militia, the PKK. The rise in centralized power is both a positive and a negative for Erdogan. Today, Erdogan promises more power moved towards Istanbul to rationalize the national bank, to bring the national bank under the sort of centralized control, more centralization, more power. And at the same time, he's facing this knife-edge election in the country tomorrow. He said on Friday, those who do not respect the ballot box do not respect the people. So presumably, whatever the result on Sunday, he will accept that. We won't be seeing a Trump challenging the election. We won't be seeing a Trump defying the people. Mr. Erdogan has made it very clear he will accept the result. I hope so. I hope so. I think a lot of the Western media underestimates the power of Erdogan, and I think they will be greatly surprised by the result tomorrow. But at the same time, as I say, it's entirely knife edge. It could go either way.